Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we'll be going over Cordelius and Chuck's spot in the Brawl Stars meta right now and how balanced they currently are. So, starting off, we're going to be talking about Cordelius. Now, being an assassin, he is a close range brawler, and at the power that I'm at power level, I have a power 10 with both gears and a gadget as star power, and he's actually pretty good. I've been liking him. I just got him recently, and he's pretty solid. He's been a really good brawler, and because of that, he's actually never received a buff. Cordelius is a brawler who's only gotten nerfs, and although they aren't nerfs to like his damage or his health, things like that, your typical nerfs, they were all to how he is in the Shadow Realm, which is what his hypercharge is based off of. He can always be a solid brawler. But even with him being always a solid brawler, there are some buffs that I'd actually like to see him get because he struggles a lot against really tanky brawlers. And I feel like if Supercell wants him to be an assassin, they need him to have a little bit more versatility in some situations. So first, I would give him a little small health buff, maybe get him to around 6,700-ish, that sort of range. Just give him a little bit more health to work with. Like in this clip right now, you're seeing that Rosa, who's got so much health. Really hard to take brawlers like that out. So if you can get a little bit more, a small health buff, maybe like 2, 3%, 4%, it'll help him out big time, and it just makes him not as squishy as he normally is. And also for him at lower levels, like he can have more health because when you have him power 1, he gets two-shotted by a Piper, and that's not fun, right? Then I'd give him his Poison Mushroom gadget, go back to the 1.5 stun. So his Poison Mushroom gadget used to be a 1 second, like 1.5 second stun, but they did nerf it, and that was one of the nerfs he got. But I would actually give it back to the 1.5 so that he has a bit more to work with in terms of like if an Edgar drops on him, or even in that situation right there where that whatever that brawler's name is, Miko, who just jumped on me, I didn't have my gadget wouldn't have stunned him for that long, so it would give him a little bit more stun time, maybe get him half a shot off, maybe one more of his mushrooms off, and just give him a little bit more health, because in that situation, we're getting pretty cooked right here, and there's not much we can do about it. So then his hypercharge, which was released not too long ago, is pretty solid, but I feel like his super, when you shoot it at a distance, it's basically like you're just giving your super out for free. You don't really have a chance of landing it unless the opponent's standing still. So normally with Cordelius, you're almost always using your super right on top of your enemy. Or in that situation right there where the max was slowed down and I was able to get her. But if an opponent's moving at regular speed, you're almost always going to have to be using your super right next to them, and that just makes it a little bit difficult. So I think when he has his hypercharge activated, that the speed at which his super travels should be buffed. That'll allow him to land more of those supers, especially because you want it, when you activate your hypercharge, everyone knows you want it to be a rewarding thing, right? You want to land the super because in the super that's where his hypercharge, when he activates his hypercharge, he uses his super and he slows down the enemy. You want to be able to do that because a bunch of other brawlers, right, when they activate their super, it's basically like guaranteed kills. So this should help him out with his hypercharge a bit, letting him land those far range ones, and then he can, in the Shadow Realm, it'll allow him to get closer to his enemies, because otherwise what's the point of slowing down a brawler when they're right on top of you in the Shadow Realm? It doesn't make as much sense. I think they should buff the speed that his super travels in that regard. Other than that, he is pretty solid in this current meta. I think Kairos Time had him, like, I think above B tier, A tier, something like that. So he is pretty solid. His attacks, though, when you auto-aim from inside when they're inside the circle, maybe he gets a little bit of an attack speed buff, but he's a brawler who, in the right hands, is always going to be strong. Like, no matter what. He's pretty good. Maybe, as I said earlier on, he might want to be a little bit stronger against some tankier opponents, but definitely when you're going up against lower HP brawlers he does really well. Next up, we're going to be talking about Chuck. Now, Chuck is basically the most useless brawler in half the game, more than half the game modes in the game. He's basically only really able to be used in Hot Zone and Heist because of how good his super is, like how much movement and area control on the map he has, right? Like right there, I just placed that post down and my opponents, they ran away, right? They don't want to get close to those supers posts where then I can hit them and pick them up. But I think he needs a bit of a rework because he is, like his main attack sucks. You rarely ever land all 3 puffs. So I feel like he just needs to be a bit more, like he has to have more versatility in like gems. You can not play this guy in gems. Like Chuck is not a brawler you want to be playing in gems. Bouncy especially, he's horrible. Because he has no range. His super, I don't know if you can really call it range because it's just throwing down posts and then using the train to go to it. But I have a little rework that is right here and I'll throw it up right now. So I feel like his attack range, instead of being that rectangle that he has and it just shoots straight with the 3 puffs, I think he needs a little bit of a damage buff. But his super puffs, instead of going straight, right, he should have like a little bit more cone. Sort of like how Amber's attack is, but not as long, right? Just keep the same length, but just a little bit more of a cone. And it should go 1, 2, 3. So like starting from the left, he does 1 puff, middle, right. And that should help him out a lot. It gives him a bit more area control because like he's useless in, as I said, he's useless in so many game modes. And he's just not fun, right? Unless you're playing Heist and you're dominating, you're rarely gonna play this brawler because he struggles so much in every regard. So, and another thing they could do is maybe change his damage instead of being based off of how close they are to him. Maybe just keep it like nerf his damage maybe, and then keep it the same no matter the distance. But then I think his super charge speed, when it charges automatically, that should definitely be nerfed because he's just way too overpowered in these game modes as you're seeing right now. I just spawn and look in like 2 seconds I'll have another super and I can just activate it, boom, boom, take out the pole, and I'm back on a roll and back in the hot zone. So I feel like they should nerf that, maybe instead of whatever it is, 6 seconds right now, 5 seconds, maybe 7 seconds, you let him wait a little bit more because with these changes, if he has more area control, he'll be able to charge up that super more often without having to rely on it just auto-generating in the background. Then his super pushback, when he throws the super and it does that pushback on enemies, I feel like that should be nerfed a bit because it does push back quite a bit. The damage isn't too big, but the pushback of throwing that post when it hits you, it is a little too big, and I think it should be just a little bit smaller because his posts aren't too big. They're actually quite small when you look at them, but you realize that the pushback is huge. Then his super damage, when you're in the middle of those train tracks and hits you, that's a pretty big chunk of damage, and taking that right to the face all the time. And this is the reason why he's so good in Heist, is because anyone standing in the way, and even the super and the safe, sorry, when he hits the safe, that's like 3,400 damage straight up, and it does make him really strong. But once again, if Supercell balances him, if they make him like more of an overall rounded brawler, he's a really cool brawler, right? He's the only brawler who can throw down a post and use his ability and use a super to get to it. So he's a super unique idea, but he's so map specific, so game mode specific, he just struggles everywhere else. As I said earlier in this video, like I don't even know how you would play him in solo showdown because does he even really survive? I don't even know. So I feel like they need to make him a bit more playable in every game mode because every brawler should have a chance in every game mode to succeed and not just be smacked by every opponent because they're just not good enough. Like in this video right now, in this clip right now, I'm getting smoked because they have an El Primo and a Piper, and I can't really do nothing about the Piper because her range is so far, I can never get close enough to take her out, and then she has her bombs. But she's a really meta brawler right now, so Piper is like a different story. But anyways, these are just some of my quick thoughts for both these brawlers. Just really quick, I just threw on some clips and talked about them. Hopefully you guys like this video. Let me know in the comments section if you think that either of them need buffs or nerfs. These are just sort of my quick thoughts on them as I was pushing them. I think I got 100 trophies on each. I think Cordelius is at about 150. I've been having a lot of fun with both of them, but I feel like Chuck just needs to be way more playable because he just gets smoked way too often. So anyways, hope you guys enjoy. Let me know in the comment section. Hit like, hit subscribe. Have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next.